2 years ago, a friend of mine came up with a crazy idea. She wanted to make videos, but she thought her Chinese accent would turn people away. She thought a female voice was not authoritative enough, so she asked me to narrate for her. Flattered by the opportunity, I agreed to the contract slavery rate she offered. But she was all over the place. So one day she made me read Cinderella's story. And then the next day I had to narrate about Paul McCartney is dead. And I became the commentator on who's behind the JFK assassination and who killed John Bonet. And we did a story on Prince, Princess Diana, Oprah, and myself, and translated messages in crop circles and decoded Nostradamus and Chinese prophecies and Baba Vanga. I was sent to interview psychics, chat with my family through a medium, and made videos about space, angels, psychics, archaeology, doomsday, illness, hurricanes, and Nibiru. When she decided to make fiction films, I was on her short list for talent. Luckily, she soon found better talents for roles I can't play, but she managed to convince me to sing the 10 songs she wrote. So, don't call me crazy. She was a crazy one. But I have to admit that it is a lot of fun being the first to read her crazy theories. Believe me, check the dates on those videos and compare her crazy theories with what happened soon after, and you will agree that she was not so crazy after all. Less than a year ago, she started research on Nostradamus. If you search now, you will find 5,370,000 results under the word Nostradamus. People have been researching Nostradamus for the last 500 years. But she was the first one to find clusters of quatrains. I mean, quatrains in groups offering detailed information on major or related events, like the JFK assassination, Doomsday, President Trump, and even the October 1, 2017 Vegas shooting. And by comparing Nostradamus's prophecy with the Chinese prophecy of Tuibei II, we get a glimpse into our gloomy future. I know you won't believe our interpretations on Nostradamus, just like you don't believe our Paul McCartney is dead theory. I know it sounded really strange, but what would you say if I can show you that Paul is dead according to Nostradamus? Paul is dead is a theory, not a joke. If the theory is really crappy, how can it stay on the number 4 spot in Times' top 10 conspiracy list? Fake news dies quick. You may say that if Paul is dead, then Elvis is alive. Well, there are 11,900,000 results when you search on Elvis is alive. But there are 43,400,000 results when you search Paul is dead. Paul may or may not be dead, but the story about his possible death is definitely alive and well. So now I showed you that the Paul is dead theory is anything but crazy. Can I show you what Nostradamus said about this? Before digging deep into the Nostradamus prophecy, I actually thought his prophecies were crazy. And even the people who believed his prophecy were crazy. How can people consider him a great prophet when you have to take one line out of one of his 941 quatrains and ignore some misspelled words and apply it to an event you see fit and call that prophecy fulfilled? I don't know what they call that in French, but in English, I think we call that a stretch. But it is not Nostradamus' fault. It is people who fail to understand his quatrains. If you do it right, you will find his detailed predictions with names, dates, and times. He would be speechless when you realize his amazing choice of words, and he would be shocked to realize how he failed to decode his prophecy before it was too late. Don't believe me? Check out the quatrain clusters on President Trump, Napoleon, King Louis XVIII, many wars, and doomsday. Still have doubts? Look for keywords on Queen Mary of Scots, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Catherine de' Medici, JFK, Robert Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, MLK, and the Lincoln assassination. And there are even clues on who killed President Kennedy. Believe me, you won't believe what he knew. Now, look at what I found when I decided to consult Nostradamus on Is Paul McCartney Really Dead? Century 3, Quatrain 67, quote, "A new sect of philosophers despising death, gold, honors, and riches will not be bordering upon the German mountains. To follow them, they will have power and crowds." Instead of taking one line out of context, twisting it to try and fool you, I will show you what I found on all 4 lines of this quatrain, and the quatrain right before this one. Line 1, a new sect of philosophers. Can we call the Beatles a new sect of philosophers? Search Beatles philosophical songs, and you will find 398,000 results in 0.76 seconds. Now, let's look at gold, honors, and riches. Did you know the 4 young men went to India, changed their looks, and wished to live totally different lives after they achieved their unbelievable success? Is that what despising means? Or despising death is Nostradamus' way of telling us about Paul's death? The next line may be very confusing to most, but is actually the key I needed to solve this puzzle. Quote, "will not be bordering upon the German mountains." Did you know Paul had a 2-year-long affair with a waitress in Germany before he became famous? Bettina was born in December 1962, and Paul was listed as her father on her birth certificate. In 1966, the Beatles were about to embark on a European tour, but McCartney was informed by the German courts that a matter of maintenance had to be settled before he set foot in Germany. Paul McCartney then paid Erica in exchange for her silence. That was why the Beatles did not tour Germany between 1962 to 1966. While 500 years before that, Nostradamus said the Beatles will, quote, "will not be bordering upon the German mountains." Now look at the 4th line. What could be the motive to keep the death of a member secret? How about power and crowds? And how can someone inherit someone's fame and star power? Because to follow them, they will have power and crowds. Believe it or not, these are the exact words in the last line of this quatrain. If you still have doubts about this being a prophecy about Paul is dead, check the quatrain before the one I just showed you. Century 3, Quatrain 66, quote, "the great bailiff of Orzans put to death will be by one of blood revengeful. Of death deserved he will not die, nor by chance he made captive poorly by his feet and hands." Orzans is not a word, so I have to assume it meant Orleans. Did you know the Fab Four took over the city when they had a live concert there in 1964? The Big Easy fans went crazy, but so did fans in other cities. Why did Nostradamus single out New Orleans? Did you know the New Orleans concert was the only one successfully crashed by fans? Police could not stop the teen girls when they got through the lines and tried to reach the stars. But what does bailiff mean? According to dictionary.com, in Britain, it's a person charged with local administrative authority, or the chief magistrate in certain towns. Did you know New Orleans held an official ceremony handing out the city key to the Beatles and declared September 14, 1964 Beatles Day? Poor Nostradamus probably could not find a better word to describe what he saw. Actually, I can't either. So, how many people have been given the New Orleans city key? Other than the Beatles, I only found Kentucky New Orleans Architecture Studio in 2006, Harris County Hospital after Katrina in 2007, R&B singer Usher in 2008 for his Katrina effort, and Steve Gleason of the New Orleans Saints in 2011. Is Nostradamus great or what? It is us that have failed to decode it sooner. The clues were all there. Now, let's think what "will be by one of blood revengeful" mean. Actually, this is really tough. But let me share with you some crazy theories. Number one, the Paul lookalike had already written songs and performed as Paul before replacing Paul. But he had to stay undercover because we can't have two Pauls. Then opportunity knocked when Paul is no more. Number two, this theory is totally crazy, but if true, could solve another mystery. Many people, including me, wonder why the current Paul doesn't just do a blood test with his dad or brother to put all the rumors to rest. But what if the two Pauls are related? What if the new Paul is the old Paul's half-brother or a cousin? This can not only explain why they look and sing alike, but also why Paul cannot do a blood test. Number three, if Paul really died in a car accident when he was drunk with a high blood alcohol level, can we say, "will be by one of blood revengeful"? Beatles had godlike status in 1966. Paul would set a terrible example to his fans if he died driving drunk. Could that be the reason for the cover-up? Now, let's look at line 3. Of death deserved he will not die, nor by chance. Okay, you don't have to be an expert in English to know this sentence makes no sense. Unless we are writing about the Paul is dead conspiracy. Of death deserved he will not die. He died, but he will not die because someone else will live his life. And nor by chance clearly states that the whole thing would be planned. Moving on to the last part of the quatrain, quote, he made captive poorly by his feet and hands. Hand and feet. Do you know the new Paul is 2 inches taller than the old Paul? And people got the new Paul playing guitar with the right hand, when the old Paul is known to be left-handed. Nostradamus hinted about the two most talked about Paul is dead evidence 500 years before Paul was even born. Now, do you believe that Nostradamus was a great prophet? And I am his modern-day spokesperson. This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.